welcome to Axel Arigato Talks. I am so delighted to be sitting here with Roux.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
This feels like a real pinch me moment.
Do you want me to pinch you?
I'll go on then.
Okay.
Okay, it's real. You were my most listened to artist in that Spotify rap thing-a-ling that they do.
I think I was as well.
Well, good.
Only because of one
Getting
song.
high on your own supply.
Yeah, I just left one song like running because you just do. And then at the end it was like, you are in the 99th percentile. I was like,
You're like, I better
I'm gonna
fucking
kill
hope so.
myself.
But you were in mine, and then when we were DMing, I fully shit my knickers. I thought, no way.
Really?
Yes, of course. Because
I'll
yeah.
DM anyone. Don't tell people that.
Oh, don't tell me that. Yeah, I really admire you as an artist.
Thank you.
I think you're an absolute genius in sound, arrangement, visuals.
Thank you very much. That's like all
Genuine.
I ever want anyone to say.
Well, here we are.
Great.
Before we get into all the sort of albums, the Supervision, the Trouble in Paradise, the self-titled, where are you creatively at today, would you say?
I'm in a very good space, actually. I feel probably more sure of myself than I have ever done. And I've been working on my own for, obviously, because of the pandemic. I was forced to just work on my own. And I've always started all the songs and all the sounds and all the parts on my own. And kind of pretty much got like at least 50% together before anyone else is there most of the time. But with this one, I've known that I want to take it to the end pretty much by myself, or I thought I did at the beginning of the pandemic. So I taught myself a whole bunch of other stuff that I didn't know before, which has been extremely empowering. But now after 2 years, I'm like, actually, I've kind of got an album, and I sort of don't really want to finish it completely by myself, because I would love someone to talk to and bounce off of at this point now. So it's just sort of searching somebody. I spoke to this guy in the States, and I've been speaking to a few people. One of them even was Rodney Jerkins, which was super exciting because I was I'm a huge fan of his.
Forgive me, who's Rodney Jerkins?
Rodney Jerkins did... He wasn't man enough for me. Say my name. You rock my world, you know you did.
Oh.
Like huge R&B, like pop hits.
Wowza.
Like, huge. And yeah, he's a bit of a G as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so I'm speaking to people like him, and then a couple of people that are less known, just to see where we get with what other people's opinions are of what I've been doing, really, and seeing
so just a little bit of feedback here and there.
Yeah, just to see if we can lift it that like a little bit more, you know.
God. Okay, that's a great place to be, because when you and I have chatted, you've said like a lot of the work, as you were just saying, is made at home. Like you've made albums in your kitchen, songs in your kitchen before.
Yeah, totally. I'm doing it now in my kitchen. Yeah, so I've done I would say it's 80% done, and it's all been done in my kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah.
In terms of Supervision, which was the last album you dropped, 2020.
Bit of a weird year.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one, actually. Yeah, what was that like to drop it there? Because you don't go through the sort of usual promo cycles, I imagine.
No.
Or you do, but it's like you're waiting in a Zoom lobby for...
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I sort of just gave up on it. I know it sounds really awful, but I had this sort of... I don't want to use the word like epiphany or anything, because it wasn't like that, but I definitely had a moment where Supervision came out, the tour got cancelled, the pandemic hit. And anyway, as it is nowadays, promoting records is so different to how it was 10 years ago. I mean, like, a promo cycle before was, like, intense. Now it's like, you have a few interviews. You know, it's like, it's just different.
What was it like before? Was it like...
It was like you were going from, like, 5 a.m. in the morning until, like, 10 p.m. at night. You were out doing promo for, like, quite a long time. Like, you might do 4 shoots in one day.
With different magazines and bits like that. God.
You know, I mean, you have to have a big album for that to happen. But nonetheless, it would still, especially because you're at a major label, I was at a major label, it just push. Whereas now, you can sort of have like a top 5 hit out and be on holiday. Do you know what I mean? It's quite strange.
Sipping a margarita and checking on the streams. Like, it's doing all right, actually.
Yeah. I don't know, it just seems to be really different. I can't exactly tell you why, because I've been away for, I was sort of away.
Yeah, where were you? It looked like Jamaica.
Oh, that away. Yeah, no, it wasn't Jamaica. It was... I'm actually not going to say the name of the island because I don't want people to go there.
Gatekeep
but
that
one. It's near St. Vincent.
Okay.
It's very small.
That sounds chic.
I have a lot of friends that live there.
Oh, great.
So I miss people if I don't go out there.
Was it the recharge you needed?
Oh my God, it was the recharge I needed. Seriously. I feel like I sort of recovered from the whole 3 years just in those 3 weeks. Even though I'd been on holiday before, been to Greece, the year before for a few weeks, which was great. But this was, I think I went with my whole family as well, which makes a big difference. Cause
this time round?
Yeah, it's really grounding. And I've got lots of friends out there. I've got a god kid out there. So it was like family, friend sort of bond. It was great. It was really magical actually.
Speaking of your family, before we started rolling, you were telling me about how they absolutely ripped you a new one. We were talking about how it took you a minute to sort of find footwear built for purpose.
Yeah, like practical.
Right.
But it's weird because like when I was a kid, I was such a tomboy and I was so practical. And all I wore was tracksuit trousers and like trainers basically.
Naturally.
Obviously. And an Arsenal shirt. And because I'm from South London, obviously.
Duh.
But then when the whole LaRue thing happened, and I found the character of style that went with that, it was like I didn't feel like I could ever break out of it. Like I didn't feel like anyone could ever see me in any other clothing. So I just, even if we were like in France walking through the forest with my parents, it's like muddy, I'd be wearing like £700 green velvet slippers with leather soles, like doing this. My sister was just like, I think she just stood back from me at one point and was like, look at yourself. Look at you, fucking ridiculous. You're just absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I'm like, you don't understand.
I'm like, look, Jess, nothing else goes with these trousers, okay?
Yeah.
And like, I have to wear this silhouette because I can't wear walking boots with these.
You're like, Jess, I've got very narrow feet
Yes.
and a big budget, so I'm going to wear these.
I'm going to look like I'm wearing... it was ridiculous. And at one point, I just sort of... I think I was delusional for a while. When you're like, you look back and you're like, oh, I was quite a delusional young person, I think I definitely had years where I was like, yeah, this is normal. This is totally normal.
Yeah, but a lot happened to you at a young age, so it's like definitely put through a pressure washer of all sorts.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on, to be honest.
In terms of style... Am I wrong in thinking it was like indie sleaze?
Yeah, it was pretty much. Looking back, Jesus, it was, yeah. At the time, I would have been like, no, it's like electro 80s something. I would have given it a different name.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back, I mean, also, I'm not being funny, but like everyone just looks terrible.
What, nowadays
like,
or
no,
then?
no, now everyone looks great. No, everyone looks great. But I mean, then I feel like looking back, like everyone does just look like they were some sort of drug addict. Like 100%. I mean, most people were, but it's really weird when you think back to that time and you remember being in that time and you remember how you felt and how you thought and how you looked at people and the world and style. And it obviously wasn't how I look back on it now, because I'm like, why do we all look so dirty? Like I can't. Did we shower then? Like it's really
break
weird.
down for me what indie sleaze is, because I have a different understanding of it. I didn't quite live through it. Vicariously through my older sister.
Okay.
What was indie sleaze like for you? What did it sound like? What did it look like? Shower or not?
I mean, I do feel like there's quite a few variations of indie sleaze, because you can have the new rave, like the Knife, Klaxons, me, sort of that sort of electro style, or you could be like the Horrors.
Oh yeah,
but
that was what my sister was on.
Yeah, but they're both in indie sleaze. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like. And sometimes they would blend. And then you just get people, which I also sort of dabbled in a lot, which is just wearing really bad quality vintage clothing. But
just for the sake it's vintage.
Yeah, just like everyone was just obsessed with vintage clothing. And we were like, yeah, I got this in a vintage shop. It's just, everything was just crap. Had like bits of mirror on it or something, I don't know. But I look back now and I'm like, what the hell were we wearing?
Made sense at the time.
It really did, yeah. I mean, I thought I looked fucking great.
So is it indie as in like independent music and labels, and then sleaze as in like we've been at the Globe for 48 hours and there's more ket coming?
Yes, definitely. Right. Ketamine's definitely involved. Yeah. And I do remember people wearing things like Game Boys around their necks and stuff like that. That was like a thing as well, like just being completely ridiculous electro, I definitely remember someone wearing a Game Boy as a necklace.
What, and playing with it?
No. No. It's probably broken.
Like if the chat gets a bit dead, like 1 sec, guys.
Yeah, hang on, Mario.
Yeah.
I mean, God. It's actually It's basically a phone.
Yeah, it's basically
It's
that.
a
Yeah. There was that, then there was Snake on the phone, and now we've got like...
Now we've got full-on distraction vortex.
Totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of the sort of creative space you're in now on the new album, I was looking on your Instagram, and it's akin to like Rihanna's Navy. The comments I'm seeing is like, you're posting you on your Hollybobs like, oh, like the recharge I need, and they're like, where's the fucking album? Where's the fucking album? And because you were in a place where it looked tropical, they were like, Trouble in Paradise?
Are you making another tropical album?
Yeah.
Is it like Tropical Dancer again?
They were non-stop.
I know. To be fair, like I have been sort of saying I'm going to release music for ages.
Okay.
I've sort of been like, yeah, because I've changed my plans quite a lot in the last year, like, but behind closed doors.
But out of necessity.
Yeah, well, also just because I know this sounds mental, but like the music industry changes so much so quickly that actually when you're like, yeah, well, I want to do this and I want to release three singles and then, we're going to do that. I was going to just release singles essentially for a little while, which totally felt right while I was making them. But then it got to a point when I'd sort of finished them and I was like, no, that doesn't feel right anymore.
Because it's more of a body of work.
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, wait, hang on. So it's like just as you move through the work, it just changes,
Yeah.
So I've sort of teased things and then I've been like, that's not happening.
You're like, sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's just the way
A little
it
bit
is.
of foreplay, I'm pulling out.
Yeah, I'm pulling back. You're not getting the full sex, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good space to be in. So speaking of the TikTok of it all, you did Feedback, that tune that dropped. That was huge on TikTok.
I actually signed it to TikTok.
Is that a thing?
They have a record label and I wanted to see what it was like.
Wow.
So I signed it to TikTok. But it did really well because they can't push it. They can't force anything to happen. It's not like if you sign to TikTok push you. It's not like they can't fake numbers. They can't make you appear in the chart when you're not in the chart. But
Right. What, can other places do that?
No, but I think people think that you can do that if
Right.
you're. So I've had people say to me, "Oh, is that why it was in the charts?" And I'm like, no. But it just means that they can do things that are TikTok friendly, or they can help you create content that's TikTok friendly, or that is, because it's not my forte. It really is not my forte.
But you wanted to dabble and see where it landed.
I just want to know. Yeah, I want to know about everything. We wanted to know. Me and my manager were very curious, and I wanted to see what they could teach me, whether I would learn something about TikTok, whether, you can't keep denying the modern world forever, which I did do I did do that for a long time. That's part of the sort of realization I had. I was a bit like, I need to get with the, like now.
Because your head was somewhere else. You were like full Depeche Mode 80s.
Yeah, well, it was sort of like, even if I wasn't in the Depeche Mode 80s place, I was always in some retro space.
Yeah.
So first album, I was in that space. Second album, I was in a kind of Tom Tom Club, David Bowie, Young Americans, Jerry Rafferty sort of space.
It's a lovely space.
It's a great space.
That's Trouble in Paradise,
Love
right?
that, yeah. And then Supervision, I was in a bit more of a kind of bouncy George Michael, mixed with Grace Jonesy sort of place. It's a bit
Another
different.
brilliant spot to find yourself in.
That was what I wanted to do. So, but then I was like, maybe you just need to like, sort of like I did more on my first album, which is blend some elements and textures you like from production of the past, or whatever, but also make it modern.
Totally.
So that's what I'm doing now.
You're almost like, it strikes me like you're almost a bit of a cultural DJ, because when I've read, you know what I mean? Not a DJ in the literal sense,
I know
but
what you mean.
you pull references and then you make it into this like gorgeous smorgasbord of a tune. So
I just tried to make little soundscapes based out of all of the little textures and colours and shapes that I like, basically, And then
because is it called synesthesia? People can see colours.
First of all, I don't know if I believe in that.
I was about to say that. So,
it's only wankers say it. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. And I'm thinking of one, but I'm not going to say their name. I watched a documentary and it was like, I released it in colour, and I'm like,
Of course you do. Yeah, it's
I'm seeing red.
Yeah, I'm seeing a red flag.
Yeah.
It's a classic pretentious thing to say. I did know one guy that I sort of trust that might have it, which is Flood, who's a pretty epic producer. He's worked with PJ Harvey and stuff like that, And it would be hard. It would be difficult to think that he was lying. Like that would be like strange.
Yeah,
but
like
then at the same time, I'm a bit like, I feel like everyone that makes music, they don't see colours like flaring through the room when they listen to music. But obviously there is some visual landscape going on, or I wouldn't be able to look at a stereo field all day and feel like I can, just as much as I can hear a sound there, I can feel and see and perceive a sound there or there or there or there or there. You know, like, it's not, you can't produce at all if you have no visual landscape when you're making music. So it's sort of a weird thing to say. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I feel about it anyway.
No, I feel the same way. I really do. In terms of the touring life that you had before and the touring life that is to come, what do shows mean to you, and has that evolved over time? Because as we mentioned earlier, I remember I was watching an interview that you did. I think it was like a Build series. You were in New York and you were reflecting back on a time when you were when you were thrown into that promo cycle. And you were saying that, it was like the first time you were in New York and you were young, but you just spent 8 hours a day crying because of just the intense pressure and that almost like misconception when people, this concept of breaking out. Yeah. The complete disconnect between what it appears from the listener outside to see, how it is feeling. So how has your relationship with sort of physicalness when it comes to performance changed over the years?
I mean, that's been a really long journey. I think there's two things that freaked me out. One was just the being away from home and some people, suddenly hundreds of people, like expecting you to be able to deal with things, do things, complete things, be that person all the time, whatever. That was just like, the level of expectation was just too much. And I kind of just wanted to be, I didn't know this at the time, but I just wanted to go home. I really just wanted to go home. I'm not really like I've learned a lot about myself obviously since, and I'm just not really like I'm not that explorative like I am, and I'm not. I am within my own mind, but I don't want to be taken away from my home and my grounding things and my people and my places. It's just not my thing. And that was one thing. And then obviously the other thing that became a problem was the actual performing. It was fine at first. I never really had problems. I never really had major nerve issues. I never really had major vocal problems. And I used to sing well live. I just used to strain a bit too much at first. I used to try and sing too loud, and then I had to work that out. And then I just toured too much, and I lost my voice. And I just innocently lost my voice at first. And then the pressure of not being able to cancel gigs and having to continue to sing with pharyngitis or whatever the fuck it was I had.
Was it like a vocal node situation?
I didn't have nodules or anything like that. I think I just got ill, and then Jazz Summers, my manager at the time, he was with me in New York. I think we were at the LA. We were at the Nokia Theatre, and I just did sound check, and I started to feel super rough, like proper flu rough, you know, like. And I was like, I was losing my voice, and I was freaking out, and everybody knew it because there was like 200 people coming from like the global, like Universal team or something, and I just wasn't in the fucking mood. I just genuinely, and it sounds mental, but like sometimes you're not in the mood for that. Do you know what I mean?
Especially when you feel like you're literally being rolling out like pillar to post and like, oh, go up there and sing.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there's a meet and greet with 200 people today, but you've got flu. I'm like, and you've got to do a show for an hour and a half. I'm like, I can't fucking wait to do that. You know, and then I think I went and spoke to him and I said how I was feeling, and he basically just laughed at me. He was just like, you can't cancel. So, you know, and it's like, it's the fact that there's no one's ever there that's that mum voice that's just going, okay, well, that's that then. There is no. There's no, I can't do it. There's no, and that, once I realised that was it. My larynx went back inside myself, and it didn't come out for, I think, 7 years. So I couldn't sing at all for about 6 years. That's why I went away. You know, that's why I was away for so long. That's why I couldn't make an album. That's why I couldn't complete vocal takes. That's why Trouble in Paradise took so long. It took me a week to do a vocal take.
Shit.
It was horrific. It was honestly horrific. You know, it's totally all self-inflicted. You know, I wanted all this. I went out and got it, you know. But you don't know what you're going out to get when you go out and get it. It's weird.
I think there's a level of, self-inflicted because obviously you're the instrument. But it sounds to me like it was a lot of the environment
it was
that
the
made
environment.
the symptom.
But I also feel like, I'm not blaming myself, but, you know, anytime you go out and look for that much validation by needing to be famous or whatever, which I think as a really insecure teenager, if I'm honest, there was a lot of that coming into play.
Yeah.
I also would have just been a musician whatever happened because I love making music. But I do think when you you seek that amount of validation and approval seeking, essentially. And then you're like, okay, great, I've been on the cover of this magazine and people think I look good and my music's good and whatever. And really all that's left now is a 2-year schedule I can't handle.
Right.
You know?
Is that really worth it then?
Yeah, I was a bit like, this was a bit stupid, wasn't it? You know, I sort of a bit like, I just hadn't thought it through. Like literally hadn't thought it through. I never thought I was going to have to go to America ever. I didn't think I was going to be big in America. That's not the first thing that crosses your mind as a 20-year-old who's made a like really high-pitched song, you know? It's not
and then like go on Sound 17 again.
Yeah.
It's like you said in another interview that I loved, you said that, you know, that sort of era and that song of the whole bulletproof of it all, that was 1% of you at that time.
Yeah, it is.
There's so much more to explore and to make.
So much more. And I think that's the thing I always find difficult. You know, I still sometimes have conversations where I'm like, I don't want to be on another dance track. And people send me tracks all the time and they're like, why don't you just do it? It'd be massive. And I'm like, because it sucks, for one. And second, because it's not who I am in any way, shape or form. I know there are millions of people out there that just want me to be the girl in the singer in the club, like the club singer. They want me to be like, you know, like fucking dance tunes. Oh well.
Too bad.
It's not who I am. Like, I can be that girl, and I may ever, if I write an incredible vocal to a track I fucking love. I'm not saying never, right? But generally, it's not who I am. As you know from listening to Supervision and Trouble in Paradise, I'm much more interested in soul music than I am in anything else. Like, I'm much more interested in the bass line than I am in that. And it's really difficult when you... It's not really difficult. It's nothing difficult about it at all. It is mildly annoying when you know that there are lots of people that perceive you completely inaccurately just because of the one thing that made you successful, which you also can't complain about because it's how you live. So then you're
Catch
like,
22,
I just feel like an idiot. It's just, but you just have to keep making. All I can do is keep making music until I feel like I've got it all out of my system, and then hopefully there'll be a broad enough spectrum of stuff there for people to see.
Totally. I have to be a bit self-indulgent for a sec. I have so many of your songs that just like, you know, play in my brain all day. But the one that...
I'm sorry.
Well, it's totally your fault. But anyway, the one song that is just, I'm such a diehard fan of is Sex Attack.
Yeah, I love that one as well. I really like that track as well.
That was my most listened to last year.
Was it?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the year before. It will probably be this year as well. Do you know what I mean?
I love that track.
It is my favourite. And you did it for you did a live version of it, like BBC Radio 6.
Yeah.
So I go between that and the,
oh, bless you. I'm really glad you like it.
That's my favourite.
It was meant to be a single, and then the Polydor, we weren't getting on at all. And I said, this is like 100% the biggest track on the album. I knew it from the minute I wrote it. It was obvious to me. Oh, I bet money. I was like, it's obvious. And they were like, yeah, but you'll have to change the words to discotheque.
Because of the whole Sex Attack. For fuck's sake. What, before they pump a load of money into it?
They're just like, we can't, there's no way that, you know, Radio 1 or anyone else will play Sex Attack. So I was just like, or they'll bleep it out, or you'll have to do a different word. And I was like...
You're like, shove it up your ass,
No, the whole point of the song is that it's called, the whole cheeky thing about it is that it's called Sex Attack.
Is that he's out at the Sex Attack.
He's at the Sex Attack, which is a sex club. It's not that he's just at a disco. Not like, he's at a discotheque. Fuck off. Like, why does everyone try and make me lame all the time? It's so irritating.
And that's also, if they did change that, that's getting into GCSE French. Like, you know, do you know what I mean?
It's just bad. Yeah. It's not funny anymore. It's not the song anymore. It doesn't have the right title. The artwork wouldn't have, just the whole thing would have been ruined. And the label were like, don't see what the problem is. I'm just like, oh, really?
You don't? Well, I do.
No shit. Fucking hell.
No, that's my absolute favourite song, and it's like it's through many iterations and eras of my life. Like it's that album and many of the other songs I've played through it. I'm really glad you like it.
Have you ever been to a show?
Never.
No, we don't do many shows.
But when you do,
really
I'll be at the front.
Yeah, do, because it's good, that one live. It's really nice to do that one live because it's more of a live feeling track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spoke a little about travelling and how you feel more of a homebody. Where you're a South London girl.
Yeah.
What's so good about South? Because I have to say...
People ask me this all the time. They're
you're sort of like an unofficial ambassador, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping it becomes official at some point. But South Londoners...
Oh, wait, Florence and the Machine loves it as well.
Oh, yeah.
She's like a South
She's like a
London.
Camberwell girl.
She wrote a song about it even, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, I think so.
What, Dog Days?
Not that. Don't slag off South London.
Sorry. No, I was raised in Purley, which is like as close to South London, but anyway.
Okay, yeah, no, I get you. That's a whole
London,
different part of South London.
it's not even South London.
Not really.
Depends who I talk to.
You know,
Do you know what I mean?
some
When they're like,
people
so where
think
are you
it's
from? I'm
Greater
like,
London or-
South London, or it's really like, I'm from Surrey.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, Croydon.
Yeah, pretty much. What is it about South London that makes people sort of like
Be weird about it.
Yeah, like walking mares and ambassadors for it.
I knew you were going to ask this. I think it's, do you know what? Oh, I think you had to grow up there to fully get it. Although I say that, I've got a couple of northern friends that have lived there and they have the same obsession with it as well. But I think, this is going to sound really weird, but everybody all South Londoners always say it's the people. And it is. That's the problem. It is. And I think it's partly because it's one of the most diverse areas of London. Like, it has culturally, just, I guess, like Tooting similarly. But again, that's in South London. It's like, it has a cultural thing going on. Like, there's a reason why I feel a certain way when I walk around Brixton. It's partly the influx of black culture, but there's also something else. I don't know what it is. Like, it is also sometimes really hectic. It can also be a bit skanky. Like, no one's saying it's perfect. And now it's also getting full of, like, Chelsea, Kensington people, which is making it unbearable. By the way, I can't shout it to you all in the street or in the park, but you're not welcome. But
this will do for the moment.
You're not welcome, okay? But I think it
feels like home.
No, it's not just that. You can't put it into words. South London people are different. They're just different. They're like
salt of the earth.
Yeah, a bit more salt of the earth. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just different. If I meet a kid from West London, like a 17-year-old from West London, I'll know they're from West London within 30 seconds.
Yeah, because they're wearing loafers.
Yeah, because they're all wanker. But you can just tell. I don't know.
I get what you mean. Right, I want to play one of my favourite games. Do you like games?
Yeah.
Great. So do I. It's one of my favourites. It's Shag, Marry, Kill.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Yeah, okay. I love
But
it.
it's sort of PG-13, you know.
Okay.
Right, Shag, Marry, Kill. Ketchup, mayo, mustard.
Shag ketchup.
Okay.
Marry mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is the king.
Right, mayonnaise is like a long lifer.
Yeah, and I do love mustard, but you just put it in amongst two other great things. So now I have to kill mustard.
I respect that decision. Speaking of, West, East or South London?
South.
Shag South or marry?
Oh, I just was like South. South London. Hang on. Well,
Because East is great for going out.
I don't go out anymore. This is the thing. Everyone that's lived in South London and then moves to East London, they're like, God, there's nothing to do in South London. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's great.
That's the joy of it.
It's really good. There's no pressure. People come round for tea. That's what happens.
And they're out the door by 10.
Yeah, they really would be. It would be, I'm sorry, it'd be kill East London. I really don't like it there. I really, really, really don't like it. I'm not going to use the H word, but I don't like it.
Okay.
I really detest North London, though. Ooh, that's
really?
like really. I actually hate North London. Anyway, West London.
You'd have to shag it, wouldn't you?
I'd shag it. Yeah,
God,
and
give
then
it a
I'd
good shag.
wait. What am I marrying?
Surely South.
Yeah, sorry. What was it? Shag.
So you're gonna kill East, quick shag in West, and marry South.
That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Get a cab for the day. You'd be all over the shop. Right, Shag, Marry, Kill. Elton John.
Oh.
Hold on. Elton John, Diana Ross, Depeche Mode.
Wait, is this musically, or do I have to actually have?
You take it as far as you want to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do musically because they're like.
Oh, not the person. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, whoa. Yeah. What did you say, Elton John?
Elton John, Diana Ross, and Depeche Mode.
Oh, that's really hard.
Sorry.
Do you know what? I can't say that. It's so mean. To really watch myself. I'd definitely marry Depeche Mode.
I think that'll be a long, happy life.
Genius, though. Fuck. No, I'm going to change. I'm going to marry Elton John. Okay. He's too much of a songwriting classic. He's got more classics. Shag. Depeche Mode, and I'm going to kill Diana Ross after what she did at Glastonbury. Let's move on.
Okay. Moving swiftly on.
Swiftly. I love her, but that was awful.
I hear you. Right, last one on Shag, Marry, Kill, because I do want to talk about Glasgow as well. Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, and Microsoft Excel.
I don't know, but this is reminding me of. Can Windows XP be in there, and can we kill it? Because once I went on stage at Brixton Academy, and I'd been waiting to go on stage there, particularly like my whole life.
Yeah.
And then we'd done the whole tour, and we'd like been practicing all the stage stuff. And we had this massive stage set. I spent a load of money. I didn't even know I'd been spending. It didn't make any profit whatsoever. The whole tour was in debt. It was amazing. And we got on the stage at Brixton Academy, and I walked out to Tiger Lily, and rather than like the stars falling or whatever the fuck was meant to be happening, it just said Windows XP for like the whole fucking show. And it was so depressing. And every time I turned around, I was like, please don't let that be there again. And it was still there, and I'll never forget it. It was a real
sponsored by
bad
Windows XP
moment.
that night.
Yeah,
fuck, I'm
it was
sorry.
really bad, and it's because somebody rolled over the cable in the day, and then it fucked up the visuals. It's really bad. So, can that be in there and kill it?
Okay, let's remove that one for Excel. So we've got Word. You're going to kill XP.
Yeah.
Are you going to shag or?
What?
Are you going to shag or marry Word or PowerPoint?
PowerPoint. PowerPoint. I'm going to marry because you can do a lot.
I love those little things that, you
Yeah,
can make the titles come in.
Yeah, and it's good. It's like I actually use stuff like that in Keynote to make documents and stuff for videos and stuff, so it's handy.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Glasgow, which you've done. I watched your set through a laptop screen. At Glasgow
Same
anyway.
as being there.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? What was the build up? What can you remember from that time?
That was actually probably always feels really weird to say this when you're like not 70, but it feels like a real highlight. That felt like a real highlight of my career. I look back to that very fondly, actually. We were like in a bit of a nightmare space as a band. We'd been on tour for like 2 years, and we were all like a bit not talking to each other.
Right.
But even so, and I think it's partly why I think it's so amazing what we did that day, because we all went on stage kind of not talking to each other, and then we all just did our thing and connected on stage, and we just forgot what we were doing off stage, and that we were arguing, and that, we were being dicks with each other. And we did our job, and we did it really well, and we still managed to have a great time with each other on stage, and like love each other and respect each other up there. And I think that's what being in a band is about, kind of. And I only really had that once, and I always wanted to have that feeling of being in a band that you work really hard with on those grooves every night, and on the, just how long songs go on, or what order they're in, or how long that middle eight is, or whatever. And we just spent so long honing it. And as a solo artist, you don't get that privilege really hardly ever. And I spent a long time getting those people and working hard with them, and I feel like that was the culmination of that, and I'm really, really, really proud of that moment. I think the only bit I don't like is the very beginning. I don't sing In for the Kill that great because I'm nervous, but apart from that, it's all good. Yeah.
I mean, it was an amazing show to watch, and it's like the fruits of the labour. It's very Fleetwood Mac, that story, when there's like shit going on behind the scenes and you come together.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit. That whole day was like, it was genuinely one of the worst days. There was so much personal drama that day. It was absolutely horrific. Still, there are a couple of people that if you even mention that, they're like, don't talk about it.
Okay,
they're like, just don't talk about that day. I'm like, okay. It's so bad.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me. I've absolutely loved this chat.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Pleasure. See you soon.
Really nice. Thank you very much, Tom.